Hello and welcome inside Desert Financial Arena for another edition of the SunDevilSource Postgame Show. I'm Jacob Brooks alongside Chris Cartman following ASU's 91-81 loss to number 25 BYU. And Chris, it's been a roller coaster season for the Sun Devils, to put it bluntly. And going into tonight, that roller coaster had even more loop-de-loops. Bobby Hurley told us in the postgame presser he found out just hours before tip-off that Alston Mason wouldn't be able to go tonight due to an illness. And then JQ was sidelined once again tonight with that ongoing right leg injury. What did you make of the fight that ASU showed, though, despite being undermanned?
Yeah, really throughout the whole difficult journey that they've been on, the guys have battled. They've lost a lot of close games. This one, 10-point margin at the end, maybe a little bit closer than what the game really was through much of the second half. But they didn't give up. They didn't throw in the towel. When you're down to really 5 normal rotational players, all of them started, and then Adam Miller got hurt on top of Jaden Quainance with the knee injury that's going to keep him out for at least one more game. Finding out today that Alston Mason wasn't going to be able to play, forcing Miller into that point guard role. For ASU to continue to keep battling, that's impressive. This is one of the top 2 or 3 seasons that have been most impacted by injuries and illnesses and other issues that I've seen in ASU basketball in the last 30 years, maybe even like right at the top. And so this has been frustrating. The fans were still kind of here and engaged, and BYU had a great crowd because they have a lot of fans in the Valley. So the atmosphere was still reasonably good, but not the result that any of these Sun Devil fans want.
So, Chris, you talked about how Adam Miller was thrusted into that point guard role with Alston Mason sidelined due to illness, but Adam Miller himself, like you touched on briefly, went down with a scary fall in the first half. There was a struggle for a loose ball off of a missed ASU shot, and one of the BYU players just almost jumped over Adam Miller's shoulder. Miller fell on the ground in a lot of pain, clutching at his core and his hip. He was down for over a full minute and then had to be helped off the court. Didn't return at all in the first half. He returned for the second half, put up 2 quick threes, but then Bobby Hurley pulled him because he was very visibly injured. He was wincing a ton. So with that happening, freshman Trevor Best had to be thrusted into that point guard role, and he shined. 18 points. This kid is 17 years old and was playing high school basketball just a few months ago. What did you make of his performance? Because I was very thoroughly impressed.
Defensively, he's a pest. He's somebody that fits into the ethos of ASU's defense with his ability to go full court. That's something that I think gives a lot of energy to the group. He's got a good handle, I would say. He showed his ability to score at different levels. He's going to get bigger, stronger, more mature, better understanding of the game. I think that was a positive. Amir Ali came out firing, and he's played well of late. When Adam Miller, first he got hit in the chest, and then there was the double technical, and then there was the play that you referenced where it was a BYU player's knee that hit him in the hip, which then caused him to have spasms, and I thought he looked good in the beginning of the second half, but then he said the medicine started to wear off or something, and then you could tell that he was a little more labored, and then Bobby Hurley kind of pulled the plug on him. But he's a competitor. These guys are battling. I do think that there's a lot of positive signs with the youth that they have. If by some chance, Jaden Quainance, Josan Sandin, who's already talked about his desire to be a one and done, so we'll see, but Amir Ali, Trevor Best, if those guys all return to Tempe next year somehow, which is in today's day and age of college basketball, it's difficult, but that would be a really impressive core group that Bobby Hurley or whoever would have to work with.
Yeah, like you mentioned, Chris, that would be a very impressive core for next season if those guys could stick around. There's a lot of exciting youth in Tempe, but we have to address the elephant in the room. Will Bobby Hurley be the man potentially leading that youth next year? Because as everyone has been saying on our boards, Bobby Hurley has been frustrating a lot of fans. ASU has now lost 8 straight home games. The fans in Desert Financial Arena want success, and a decade into Bobby Hurley's tenure, he's not getting it done. And he was speaking in the presser, Chris, his exact words when talking about the future with guys like Trevor Best were, the Sun Devils should be excited. Not I'm excited, not we're excited, the Sun Devils should be excited. Do you think he knows that his time might be up, and what do you make of the whole situation?
I don't know. I was struck by his phrasing there as well. I think everybody in the room kind of was. Also, this is Bobby Hurley. You know, he was the guy who wore the suit and the tie to games throughout his whole time at ASU, and then in recent weeks, like today, he had a hoodie on and the sleeves are kind of rolled up, and maybe that's just like him trying to like mix it up and try something different. But that, coupled with the emotion, he even said that maybe he was a little overly emotional today when he got a technical, when his son, who played a lot, was obviously fouled and it wasn't called on a shove that led to that outburst. But I don't know what's going to happen with Bobby Hurley in the future. It's very easy to see that the frustration has mounted. He talked about the universe, you know, there being something about the universe having it in for him. He talked about he hopes he's going to wake up tomorrow. You know, he thinks he's going to wake up tomorrow. He hopes he does, but he doesn't know what tomorrow's going to have in store for him. So there's like a defeated sort of an aspect that I've never really seen that kind of is there for somebody who's an ultra competitor. I don't know what's going to happen. I honestly don't know if he'll be back next year or not, but clearly this is the subject that everyone is kind of focused on at this point, because ASU hasn't won more than one Big 12 game in a row. And so even though they talked to Adam Miller after the game and Bobby Hurley has about the possibility of making a run in March, that seems very far-fetched when you have all these injuries and you know, a lot of your roster is not even available to you, and you haven't been able to string together anything at home. So we'll just have to keep track of how things unfold.
Yeah, Chris, only time will tell what's in store for this Sun Devil squad in March, in the upcoming offseason, and next year in Tempe. But that's all we've got for tonight's edition of the SunDevilSource Postgame Show following ASU's loss to number 25 BYU. We appreciate everyone for tuning in, and to keep up with all of our SunDevilSource ASU men's basketball coverage, make sure to check out SunDevilSource.com and all of our SunDevilSource socials, and we hope you all have a good night.